Hello, ladies and germs. Welcome back to another episode of Low Spec Labs. Right. This video is actually going to be a re-recording of another video I made sometime in 2021. I believe it was March or May of 2021. And that video walked you through how to install Proxmox. Looking at that video, it's very lacking. The audio quality isn't the best. The structure of the video isn't the best. And I felt like I could redo it, having gained a lot of experience making these videos since the last year. Right. So I feel like I should start by talking about what exactly is Proxmox, since I'm going to be making a lot more videos on this. Proxmox is a Linux-based Type 1 hypervisor, right? So basically what that means, it's an operating system that has been designed to run other operating systems on top of it, right? It's very powerful, and because it's Linux-based, it's open source. You can easily hack it together or hack it apart. You can install additional utilities on top of it. It's very feature rich and very powerful for something that's offered completely free. And I have to say the web interface is actually one of the nicer web interfaces I've used for hypervisors. I've used ESXi, right? I've used vCenter, right? Those are kind of rocket ships in comparison to Proxmox, right? But we'll go ahead and get started. All right, boys. So our very first step is we are going to create the Proxmox USB. In order for us to create the Proxmox USB, we're going to have to download Balana Etcher, right? Etcher is my preferred tool for creating Linux USBs. So let's go ahead and see if we can find that. And you just go ahead and click download. And you give that a couple seconds to finish up there. Okay, so after you have downloaded Etcher and double click the installer, you'll be presented with this screen. Go ahead and click I agree. Let's let it install. It's taking its sweet time here, boys. Alright, and that's it. Okay, so after you have downloaded and installed Etcher, you'll be presented with this screen. Right, from there we're going to have to download the Proxmox ISO. Okay, so now we're going to download Proxmox. So Proxmox here. Alright, go to downloads and Proxmox virtual environment. ISO images, it's on 7.3. And then we give it a couple minutes to finish the download. You can see it running right here. Right. So let's cut to when this is done. All right, cool. So Proxmox is done installing. Let's go ahead and let's open Etcher back up. Oh, actually, I should probably go get me a USB stick. I'll be right back, boys. Here's the sacrificial USB stick. So we're gonna install Etcher on this. All right. Okay. So I have the USB stick plugged in. From there, we click Flash from File. Then we click Flash from File. We go to our downloads and we select the Proxmox ISO. We select our target and we choose the right disk, which is the 16 gigabyte Cruiser USB device. Then we hit Flash. Yeah. Okay. And then from there we just allow Proxmox to install. Right? Pretty straightforward, nothing too fancy or complicated, right? After this, we're going to go ahead and get it installed, and I'm going to walk you through the installation process. Let's see. It's going to take a few minutes. All right, boys, and that's it. We now have the USB created. So from here, we are going to follow the Proxmox install process. Unfortunately, I don't have a physical host, so we're going to be doing the rest of the install virtually. So see you guys in a few minutes. All right, boys, and we're back. So to continue this video, I am using VirtualBox, right? Because I don't have any way for me to record physical hardware. Depending on the hardware you're using, you're either going to have to hit the delete button, the F12 button, the F11 button, maybe the escape key to boot in BIOS. And then once you boot into BIOS, you select the USB drive we created. And then after you select the USB drive, you'll be presented with this screen. Once you're at this screen, you'll go ahead and you'll walk through the Proxmox installer. So let's go ahead and click Install Proxmox VE. Let's give it a few seconds to boot up. And close this portion out. Let's see. All right, cool. So it got an IP address of 10.0.0.215, and we'll let it continue booting. It's taking its time here, boys. And perfect. We are now in the Proxmox installer. So go ahead and click I agree. All right. So the very first thing you'll want to do is configure your storage. There's a couple options here, right? So the first is X4 and XFS, right? These are older, simpler Linux file systems. I myself am a fan of ZFS when it comes to Proxmox, mostly because ZFS lets you do shared storage in what I consider a easy to understand way, and we'll get into that later as we make more videos. So let's click that and click OK. Click Next. All right, and then you want to click America/New York. Select your time zone, enter your country, select your keyboard layout, and hit Next. Go ahead and enter a password. All right, and then enter an email. There you go. All right. Then of course you're going to want to enter your host name. I'm just letting it do whatever. All right. And then of course, while Proxmox is booting up, it got a DHCP address. It automatically assigns that DHCP address as your Proxmox host address. So either write this down, or if you want, I highly advise setting a static IP, right? But that's up to you. So let's click Next. And then we'll go ahead and we'll click Install. And we'll just let the Proxmox installer run. Then after it's done installing, I'll walk you through your post-installation configuration steps. And look at that. Look at it go, boys. It's going pretty quick. All right, cool. So now that it's done installing, we'll go ahead and we'll click Reboot. And after it's done rebooting, we'll go ahead and we'll walk through some post-installation configuration. All right, so now we're waiting for the Proxmox host to finish booting back up. And there we go. Okay, so from there we open our web browser and we then travel to the Proxmox host. All right, so the IP address for the Proxmox host should be 10.0.215:806. Don't forget to put in HTTPS. All right, and you'll see this SSL cert warning. Right, and accept and continue. There we go. Now we're booted into the Proxmox host. Perfect. Okay. So once you're booted into the Proxmox host, you'll see the screen. You'll want to go ahead and click the PV host name right here, and then click Show. All right, boys, and that's it. The Proxmox host is updated and upgraded. So from there, we're gonna have to install some utilities, right? These just make your life a little bit easier when you're managing the Proxmox host, or at least it makes my life easier. You don't have to install them; it's completely optional, right? It just makes it easy to troubleshoot problems when you run into them. So let's go ahead and let's get started. The very first thing I like to install is apt-get install -y htop. Htop is basically a command line utility that lets you close processes. So imagine a command line version of Task Manager. IOTop is basically the same thing, but it lets you see disk IO, right? I noticed with some VMs, or depending on the workload, I'd have disk hangups, right? And so having IOTop lets you know exactly what files or what VMs are holding up your, your disks, right? Next thing I like to do is install Ranger. Ranger is a text-based file browser, right? It's just a convenient tool. I either do that or I just LS everything. But, trying to browse through files with LS can get kind of tedious unless you start getting more advanced with your grep filters. So, We just go ahead and let that run. It should take a few seconds to install everything it needs to install. All right, and that's it. Basically, your Proxmox host is ready to go. Right, so you can do like create VM, test, next, ISO image. We don't got one. Okay, so we'll test it. Maybe we'll see if we can get a template. Templates. Here's I'm a Debian fanboy here. Let's download this Debian template. Let's wait a few seconds here. Okay. All right. Okay. And once you've updated Proxmox host, that's basically it, boys. Your Proxmox install is ready to go, and you can take it from there, right? And have some fun. There's lots of cool things you can use this for. I use Proxmox to host file servers. I have my own self-hosted website that runs on Proxmox. I have there's a bunch of stuff. It's very powerful. So thank you for watching the video. Thank you for taking the 10 to 15 minutes it took to install this with me. Like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know where I can improve things. And hope to hear from you guys soon. Bye.